All right, so you're prepping for a forestry equipment operator interview, and you want to feel super ready for any questions they might ask.
And that's what we're diving into today.
We've got these RoleCatcher guides
The career guide and the interview guide.
to give you the best tips on how to get this job.
Exactly.
It's not about memorizing answers.
No.
It's more about understanding the whole role
Right.
and the industry
Yeah.
and how all your skills and experience fit in.
Yeah, like starting with even a basic question that sometimes people trip up on.
Okay.
Like, tell us about your experience operating forestry equipment.
Okay. Yeah, that seems simple, but I bet there's a lot to unpack there.
There is.
So what would you say a lot of people do wrong with that one?
Well, they might just like list off all the different types of equipment they've used.
Oh, yeah, like I've driven this and I've driven that.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so what's a better way to do it?
Well, think about it from the interviewer's perspective. They want to know you're familiar with the equipment, yeah, but they also want to see that you're passionate about this kind of work,
Yeah.
that you pay attention to detail, and that you're really committed to safety.
Okay, so how do you get all of that across in your answer?
We'll be specific.
Okay.
Instead of just saying, I've operated harvesters and forwarders, actually talk about the types of tasks that you perform, the challenges that you've overcome, the results that you achieved.
Okay.
Maybe you have a story about a particularly difficult logging operation or a time that you had to think on your feet to prevent an accident.
Yeah, I like that because it brings it to life.
Yeah.
It's not just like a list.
It's not just a list.
It's like, actually, I'm a human. I did this.
Yes.
Okay, so now let's say you are a little newer to the field and you don't have tons of experience.
Okay.
What's the approach there?
Well, that's where your transferable skills come in.
Okay.
Have you operated other types of heavy machinery? Do you have experience working outdoors in challenging conditions? Are you mechanically inclined?
Mm-hmm.
So think about those things, highlight those skills and experiences that show that you're able to learn quickly and adapt to new equipment.
Yeah, and remember, even if you don't have a ton of experience, enthusiasm goes a long way.
Yes, definitely.
Show them that you are eager to learn and contribute to the team.
Right now, let's say the interviewer is impressed with your answer and they want to kind of dig a little deeper.
Okay.
They might ask you a follow-up question like, what's the most challenging aspect of operating forestry equipment?
Okay, so it's not just about listing the challenges.
No.
It's more about showing that you can handle them.
Exactly.
Okay.
You're going to talk about a specific challenge you faced and how you approached it and what you learned from the experience.
Okay.
Maybe it was working on some really steep terrain or dealing with some unexpected weather conditions, or maybe you had to troubleshoot a really complex equipment malfunction.
Yeah. And again, it's showing them that you are a problem solver
Yes.
and that you can think on your feet and that you are all about safety and efficiency.
Exactly.
All right. So safety, I imagine, is a big one.
Huge.
I feel like there are probably some questions around that.
Absolutely.
What would those look like?
They might ask something like, how do you ensure the safety of yourself and others while operating forestry equipment?
Yeah, and they want to see that you take it seriously.
They do.
That you're not just going to like, oh, yeah, I know the rules, and then not follow them.
Exactly. So don't just rattle off a list of safety rules.
Okay.
Share some specific examples of how you incorporate safety into every single aspect of your work.
Okay, so like what would that sound like?
Talk about your pre-shift equipment inspection.
Okay.
Wearing the proper PPE.
Right.
Communicating effectively with your team and maintaining constant awareness of your surroundings.
So you're always looking around.
Yes, always looking around.
You're not just like head down doing your own thing.
Exactly. And what about those unexpected situations that might arise?
Oh, like what?
What if you see a coworker doing something unsafe?
That's a good point. What do you do?
Yeah, so the interviewer might throw in a follow-up question like, what would you do if you noticed a coworker operating equipment unsafely?
Okay.
This is your chance to show that you are not only aware of safety protocols, but that you are also willing to actually speak up and take action to protect yourself and your team.
So walk me through how you would handle that.
Okay. First, stay calm. Assess the situation.
Okay.
Then approach your coworker directly and point out the unsafe behavior, but you're going to do it respectfully and constructively.
Right.
Remind them of the proper procedures, the potential risks involved. If the behavior continues, don't hesitate to escalate the issue to your supervisor.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're taking responsibility not just for yourself, but for everyone.
Absolutely.
Okay, so this brings up something interesting.
Okay.
RoleCatcher has this AI feature.
Yeah.
And this can really help prepare you for these tough interview questions.
It's amazing, actually. It can analyze the specific job description that you're applying for
Wow.
and highlight the key skills and experience the employer is looking for.
So instead of giving these like generic answers, you can really tailor your responses to what this specific job needs.
Exactly.
Okay, that's cool. All right, so let's get back into some of these other interview questions.
Okay.
What about one about technical knowledge?
They might ask something like, how do you maintain and repair forestry equipment?
Okay, so they want to see you know what you're doing.
They want to know your stuff. Yeah, so don't be afraid to get specific.
Okay.
Talk about the types of maintenance that you perform, the tools that you use, your approach to troubleshooting.
Right. Any certifications?
Yes, any certifications training.
Yeah.
And don't be shy about sharing a story about a time when you successfully diagnosed and fixed like a tricky equipment problem.
They want to see you can problem solve.
Yes.
That you can handle pressure, that you take pride in your work.
Exactly.
What about a follow-up question?
They might say, have you ever had to make a difficult decision regarding equipment repair in the field?
Oh.
What happened?
So again, it's like, what was your thinking?
Right.
What did you do?
They want to see your decision-making skills, your ability to balance safety, efficiency, practicality.
Right.
So think of a time when you had to weigh the risks and benefits of different repair options, explain the rationale behind your decision.
It shows that you're thinking about it.
Yeah.
You're not just like, oh, well, I'll just do this.
You're not just winging it.
Exactly.
Right.
Okay, I like it.
So, yeah, another one they might ask is, can you describe a time when you had to make a difficult decision while operating forestry equipment?
Okay, so that is interesting because that's not just technical skills.
No.
It's also judgment.
Yeah.
Your ability to assess risk.
Your ability to handle pressure, your ability to, put safety first.
Yeah.
And to make decisions that benefit both the team and the project.
So what's a good approach for that one?
Choose an example that showcases your ability to think critically, follow procedures, find those creative solutions to unexpected problems. Maybe you had to adjust your work plan due to a sudden change in weather
Okay.
or a piece of equipment malfunctioned.
Right.
Walk them through your thought process, the options that you considered, the outcome of your decision.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Now, this brings up career advancement
Okay, yeah.
because RoleCatcher's career guide talks about this.
It does.
Where can this job take you?
It's not just about operating the equipment your entire career.
Okay, good.
With experience and the right skills, you can move into supervisory roles, specialize in operating more complex machinery, or you could even transition into those technical positions related to forest operations.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, there's room to grow and advance in this industry.
Okay, good to know.
Uh,
All right, so let's get back into those questions.
okay.
How about time management?
How do you manage your time and prioritize tasks while operating forestry equipment?
Okay, so they want to know you can get things done.
They want to know you're organized.
Stay on track.
Absolutely, especially on these large-scale projects with those tight deadlines.
Yeah.
So start by explaining, your general approach to planning and prioritizing your work.
Okay.
Do you use a to-do list? Do you set daily or weekly goals? And then give a specific example of how you've successfully managed your time on a previous project.
Okay.
Especially when you were faced with multiple demands or maybe some unexpected challenges.
Oh, yeah, like equipment breaks down or weather changes.
Right, exactly. So this is where you can really showcase those organizational skills and your ability to stay calm under pressure.
Love it.
So they might even ask a follow-up question.
Okay.
Like, describe a time when you had to adjust your priorities due to unforeseen circumstances.
Okay.
How did you handle the situation?
So you got to be flexible.
You have to be flexible. You have to think on your feet.
Yeah.
Talk about how you assessed the situation. You reevaluated your priorities, came up with a new plan of action,
Okay.
and emphasize your ability to communicate effectively with your team
Okay.
and to stay focused on those overall goals of the project, even when things aren't going according to plan.
Which, let's be real, they probably never do.
Exactly.
Okay. What about environmental responsibility?
Absolutely. That's a big one.
Yeah.
So they might ask, can you explain your understanding of environmental regulations and how they impact forestry operation?
Okay, so they want to see that you're not just like, I know the rules, but you actually care about the environment.
Yes, exactly. You have to be genuine about it.
So how do you show that?
Okay, we'll start by mentioning any specific regulations or certifications that you're familiar with.
Okay.
Have you worked with best management practices for water quality protection?
Okay.
Are you knowledgeable about wildlife habitat conservation guidelines?
Yeah.
So you're going to connect those regulations to the actual work that you do as a forestry equipment operator.
So give examples.
Give examples. Yeah, so you could say something like, I understand the importance of minimizing soil compaction during harvesting operations
Mm-hmm.
to protect tree roots and prevent erosion.
Great.
I always make sure to use the appropriate equipment and techniques to minimize my impact on the forest floor.
I like that, yeah.
So they might ask you a follow-up question like, what steps would you take if you noticed a potential environmental hazard on a work site?
Oh, so you're really showing that you're not just aware, but you're willing to take action.
Exactly.
Okay.
Explain that you would immediately report the hazard to your supervisor, document the situation, take the appropriate steps to contain or mitigate the hazard.
Yeah.
You're following those protocols.
You're not just hoping someone else will notice.
Exactly. You're taking responsibility. You're being proactive.
Okay.
And again, RoleCatcher's AI is amazing for this kind of question.
Oh, really?
It can actually analyze job descriptions and highlight the keywords that relate to environmental responsibility.
No.
So you can make sure that you are speaking the employer's language and demonstrating that you understand their values and priorities.
Okay, very cool. All right, so what about communication?
Huge.
Because I imagine in a noisy environment,
Yes.
communication can be tough.
Absolutely.
So what are they looking for there?
Yeah, they might ask you something like, how do you communicate effectively with coworkers and supervisors while operating forestry equipment?
Okay, so what are some key things to highlight there?
Emphasize the importance of clear, concise, and timely communication,
Okay.
especially when you're working with heavy machinery.
Yeah.
Talk about your experience using hand signals radios or any other communication systems that are standard in the industry. It's not just about talking.
Right.
It's also about listening attentively and making sure you understand those instructions before you take action.
And I imagine nonverbal communication is a big one too.
Huge. Being aware of your surroundings, anticipating your coworkers' movements, and using those hand signals effectively can prevent accidents and ensure that smooth workflow.
Okay.
And share an example of a time when you had to communicate effectively in a really challenging situation.
Like what?
Maybe you had to coordinate a complex maneuver with another operator in a tight space.
Uh-huh.
Or maybe you notice a potential hazard and you had to alert your team really quickly and clearly.
Okay, that's a good example.
Yeah.
Okay, so then what's a follow-up question to that?
Well, they might ask something like, describe a time when communication broke down on a job site. What happened and how did you resolve the situation?
Okay, so I see what you're saying before about this is tough because you're kind of admitting a mistake,
You are.
but you're showing how you learned from it.
Exactly.
So what's a good way to approach that one?
So choose an example where communication was a factor in a problem or misunderstanding.
Yeah.
But you don't want to dwell on placing blame.
Okay.
Focus on what you learned from that experience and how you would prevent similar breakdowns in the future.
So like maybe you realize, oh, I should have double-checked those instructions
Exactly.
or clarified what they meant.
Yes, or used a more assertive communication technique.
Okay.
Yeah.
So again, showing that you are learning and growing.
You're self-aware, you're proactive, and you're always trying to improve your communication skills.
Perfect.
And that actually brings us to another point.
Okay.
RoleCatcher's AI is fantastic for this type of question.
Oh, how so?
It analyzes job descriptions and highlights those keywords related to communication, collaboration, and teamwork.
Oh, wow.
So you can really make sure you're speaking the employer's language.
Cool. Okay, so new technology. What about that one?
Yeah, that's a big one.
Because things are always changing.
Always changing, always advancing.
So what would they ask?
They might ask, how do you stay up to date with new technology and equipment in the forestry industry?
Okay, so they want to make sure that you are staying current and not just stuck in your ways.
Yeah, they want to see that you're a lifelong learner and that you're passionate about staying at the forefront of this field.
Okay, so how do you convince them that you're all about the new tech?
Be specific.
Okay.
Don't just say that you're interested in new technology.
Oh.
Talk about concrete steps that you take to stay informed.
Okay.
Do you attend industry conferences or workshops?
Mhm.
Do you read trade publications?
Ah.
Do you follow online forums?
Mhm.
Do you network with other operators to kind of share knowledge and learn about new equipment?
Okay.
And if you recently completed any training programs or certifications,
Yeah,
mention those as well.
definitely.
Yeah, it's all about demonstrating a genuine interest in staying ahead of the curve.
Love it.
Yeah.
And adapting to that ever-evolving landscape of forestry technology.
Yes. And they might ask you a follow-up question.
Oh, okay.
Like, what are some emerging trends in forestry equipment technology that you find particularly exciting?
Ooh, I like this one.
Yeah.
So you can geek out a little bit.
You can totally geek out.
Okay.
Talk about those advancements like GPS-guided machinery, automated logging systems, drone technology for forest monitoring.
Yeah.
Share your thoughts on how those technologies are transforming the industry. Express your excitement
Yeah.
about the possibilities that they offer.
You're a visionary.
You're a visionary.
Yeah, I like it.
And RoleCatcher's AI is a fantastic resource for this.
Oh, how so?
It can analyze those job descriptions and identify the specific technologies and skills that are most in demand in the industry.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so you can focus your learning on those areas that are going to make you more competitive in the job market.
That's smart. Okay. All right. So last question for this part of our deep dive.
Okay.
Let's talk about working in a dynamic outdoor environment,
Yes,
because things can be unpredictable.
absolutely.
So what would they ask there?
They might ask you something like, can you describe a time when you had to work under challenging weather conditions while operating forestry equipment? So you want to show the interviewer that you are resilient. You are adaptable, you're committed to safety, even when the elements are kind of against you.
Yeah, like I can handle it.
You can handle it.
Okay.
Choose an example that showcases your ability to work safely in extreme heat or cold, heavy rain or snow, strong winds.
Okay. So don't complain about the weather,
No complaining.
but talk about the steps you took to stay safe.
Exactly.
Okay.
So you're going to adjust your work plan. You're going to take extra precautions to secure equipment. You're going to communicate more frequently with your team to make sure everyone is safe.
Got it.
It's about showing that you're proactive, responsible, and capable of working safely in all those different conditions.
Right. So then follow-up question, what do you think?
They might ask you, how do you stay motivated and focused when working in difficult weather conditions?
Because sometimes it's just like, I want to be inside.
I know.
So what do you do?
You're going to highlight your passion for the work, your commitment to the team, and your ability to find satisfaction in overcoming those challenges.
Okay.
Maybe you enjoy the feeling of accomplishment that comes from completing a task even when the conditions are bad.
Yeah.
Or maybe you just really appreciate the beauty and the tranquility of the forest even in the midst of a storm.
Yeah.
So whatever those personal motivators are, you want to share them authentically. Let the interviewer see your genuine enthusiasm for this work, even when it's not easy.
So it's about your mindset,
Exactly.
being positive.
Yes.
All right, welcome back to our deep dive into forestry equipment operator interview prep.
All right.
Before we jump back into those interview questions, I want to circle back to something we mentioned earlier.
Okay.
Career advancement.
Yes.
Because this isn't a dead-end job.
No, it's not.
The career guide actually outlines some really cool paths you can take.
It does.
So I'm kind of curious to hear more about those.
Yeah.
What kind of advancement opportunities are there?
Well, as you gain experience, you could naturally move into a supervisory role.
Okay.
Imagine leading a team of operators, managing projects, making sure everything runs smoothly.
So instead of just operating the equipment, you'd be managing
Exactly.
the whole thing.
Yep. Or if you really love that hands-on aspect, you could specialize in operating even more advanced and complex equipment.
Oh, wow.
Think those massive harvesters or high-tech logging systems you see in documentaries?
Like the ultimate forestry equipment wizard.
Precisely.
Right.
And for those who maybe want to step away from the machinery but still stay involved in the industry, there are also technical positions related to forest operations.
Okay.
So you could transition into planning analysis or even work on the development of new sustainable forestry practices.
So there's a lot of room for growth and specialization.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And here's where it gets even more interesting.
Right.
The career guide mentions that the demand for sustainable forestry practices is only going to increase in the coming years.
Yeah, that makes sense because sustainability is a hot topic these days.
Huge.
Everybody wants to protect our forests,
Right.
manage resources responsibly.
Absolutely.
So that means there's going to be a growing need for skilled operators who understand those practices
Yes.
and can implement them.
Exactly.
So this is a career with a future.
It is.
Good news for anyone thinking about it.
Great news.
All right, so are you ready to jump back into those interview questions?
I am. Let's do it.
Okay, so what do we have next?
All right. The next question on our list is all about staying up to date
Okay.
with the latest advancements in the field.
Okay.
So the interviewer might ask something like, how do you stay current with new technology and equipment in the forestry industry?
So I imagine that is a really important one because technology is always changing.
Always changing, always advancing.
And the forestry industry is no exception.
No exception.
So what are some ways to show them that you are on top of it all?
You have to show them that you're not just a skilled operator, but also someone who's eager to learn, adapt, and embrace new technologies. You have to be specific.
Right.
Don't just say you're interested in new technology.
Okay.
Talk about the concrete steps that you take to stay informed.
So, like, what do you do?
Do you attend industry conferences or workshops?
Okay.
Do you subscribe to trade publications?
Uh-huh.
Do you follow online forums?
Yeah.
Maybe connect with other professionals through social media.
Mm-hmm.
The more specific you are, the more genuine your interest will seem.
Right. It's not just like, yeah, I'm into tech. It's
Right.
like, I do this, I do this, I do this.
Exactly.
And then if you've recently taken any courses or completed any certifications related to new equipment or technology,
Yeah.
you want to mention those.
Absolutely. Showcasing your commitment to that professional development
Yeah.
and your willingness to invest in your skills.
Now, what about a follow-up question to that?
Okay, well, they might ask, what are some emerging trends in forestry equipment technology that you find particularly interesting?
Ooh, I like that one.
It's your time to shine.
Yeah.
Do your research beforehand. Come prepared to talk about some of those exciting advancements that are shaping the industry.
Okay.
GPS-guided machinery,
Mhm.
automated logging systems, drone technology for forest monitoring.
So cool.
It's your opportunity to showcase your passion for the field and your vision for the future of forestry equipment operation.
And don't be afraid to geek out a little bit.
No geek out.
Let them see your excitement.
Absolutely.
Okay, I like that. All right, so next up, let's talk about working outdoors.
Oh,
Because that could be a challenge.
It can.
So what kind of questions might they ask about that?
They might ask you something like, can you describe a time when you had to work under challenging weather conditions while operating forestry equipment?
Okay, so that's a pretty classic interview question.
Yeah, for any job that involves working outdoors.
Yeah, for sure.
They want to see that you're resilient, adaptable, and that you prioritize safety,
Even when it's like hailing.
even when it's hailing.
Okay, so what's the best way to approach this one?
Think about a specific example where you had to deal with, extreme heat or cold, heavy rain or snow, strong winds,
Okay.
any challenging weather condition.
Right.
The key is to focus not on complaining about the weather,
Okay.
but on the steps you took to mitigate those risks and ensure a safe and productive work environment.
Okay, so instead of being like, oh, it was so cold that day,
Right.
be like, I did this, this, and this to stay warm.
Exactly.
To make sure the equipment was working.
And you communicated with your team.
Right, make sure everybody was safe.
Yes.
Okay, I like it. So then a follow-up question to that one.
They might ask you, how do you stay motivated and focused when working in difficult weather conditions?
Because let's be real, sometimes it's just like, I would rather be inside.
I know.
So what do you do?
You're going to highlight your passion for the work, your commitment to the team, your ability to find satisfaction in overcoming those challenges.
Okay.
So maybe you enjoy the feeling of accomplishment that comes with completing a task, even when the conditions are really bad. Or maybe you just appreciate the beauty and tranquility of the forest, even in the middle of a storm.
Yeah.
Whatever those personal motivators are, you want to share them authentically.
Okay.
Let the interviewer see that you're not just someone who can handle tough conditions, but that you actually enjoy the work even when it's not easy.
It's all about that positive mindset.
It is. It is.
Okay, I like that. All right, so let's move on to another question.
Okay.
This one's about working independently
Okay.
and making decisions in the field.
Right.
What would they ask about that?
They might ask you, describe a time when you had to make a difficult decision while operating forestry equipment without direct supervision.
Okay, because you're often working in pretty remote locations.
You are.
So you need to be able to think on your feet. You do. And make decisions when you don't have someone looking over your shoulder.
Exactly.
So they want to see that you're capable of doing that.
They do.
What's the best way to approach this question?
Choose a specific example where you had to make a decision without that direct supervision.
Okay.
Maybe you encountered an unexpected obstacle, a piece of equipment malfunctioned, or the weather conditions changed really rapidly.
Yeah.
Walk the interviewer through your thought process.
Right.
How you assessed the situation, considered those options, and made a decision based on the information you had available.
So you're showing them how you think.
You are.
Okay.
Highlight the factors you took into account, the steps you took
Yeah.
to mitigate those risks and the outcome of your decision
And what you learned from it.
and what you learned.
Even if it didn't go perfectly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Show that you're a reflective learner,
Mm-hmm.
always striving to improve those decision-making skills.
Now, this kind of goes back to career advancement,
It does.
right? We talked about how this job could lead to supervisory roles or even technical positions.
It could.
And the career guide highlights some important skills that can help you advance.
It does.
Things like leadership, communication, problem solving, and of course, a strong understanding of those sustainable forestry practices.
Absolutely.
So if you're thinking about a career in forestry long-term, it's important to develop these skills early on.
Yes, it is.
All right, are you ready for another question?
I am.
Okay. What do you have for me?
This one focuses on teamwork,
Okay.
which is absolutely essential in forestry operations.
Yeah, for sure.
The interviewer might ask, describe a time when you had to work effectively as part of a team to achieve a common goal.
Yeah, teamwork is so crucial, especially when you're working on those large-scale projects.
And absolutely, with multiple operators, support staff,
Lots of people involved.
lots of people.
All right, so how do we approach this one?
Choose a specific example where you worked as part of a team to accomplish a challenging task.
Okay.
Maybe overcome an obstacle.
Right.
Describe the roles and responsibilities of each team member. Highlight those challenges you faced and explain how you worked together to find solutions and achieve the desired outcome.
So it's not about you being the hero.
No,
It's about the team.
it's about the team.
Okay.
Be sure to mention specific actions you took to support your teammates, resolve conflicts, ensure a smooth workflow.
Got it.
And don't forget to highlight the importance of communication.
Both verbal and nonverbal.
Yes, in fostering that successful team environment.
Okay, what about a follow-up question there?
They might ask something like, describe a time when you had a disagreement with a coworker.
Uh-oh.
How did you handle the situation?
Okay, that one is a little bit trickier
It is a little bit tricky.
because you're basically admitting to a conflict,
You are.
but you're showing them how you resolved it.
Exactly.
So how do you approach it without sounding like you're blaming everyone?
Choose an example where you did have a disagreement with a coworker, but focus on those steps that you took to resolve the conflict constructively.
Okay.
Explain how you listened to your coworker's perspective, communicated your own point of view clearly and respectfully,
Mm-hmm.
and work together to find a solution that benefited both of you and the team as a whole.
So you're showing you can handle conflict in a mature way.
Yes.
Okay, I like it.
And before I move on to the next question, I want to mention RoleCatcher's AI again.
Okay.
This tool can be really helpful in preparing for these types of questions.
About teamwork and conflict resolution.
Teamwork, conflict resolution.
How so?
Well, it can analyze job descriptions and identify keywords related to collaboration, communication, and conflict management.
Oh,
So by incorporating those keywords into your answers, you can demonstrate to the interviewer that you understand the importance of these skills in the forestry industry,
okay.
and that you have the experience and mindset to thrive in that team environment.
Cool. So again, it's helping you speak their language.
It is.
Okay, I like it. All right, let's do one last question for this part of our deep dive.
Okay.
Let's talk about adapting to unexpected challenges.
Okay.
What would they ask about that?
Well, they might ask you something like, describe a time when you had to adapt your work plan due to unforeseen circumstances. How did you handle the situation?
Okay, so this really gets at your problem-solving skills,
It does.
your flexibility, your ability to think on your feet.
Absolutely.
So what kind of example would be appropriate for this one?
Think about a time when you had to make a significant change to your work plan due to an unexpected obstacle.
Oh.
Maybe a piece of equipment broke down,
Yeah.
weather conditions changed, or you discovered a safety hazard that needed to be addressed immediately.
Right.
You're going to walk the interviewer through your decision-making process, explain how you assessed the situation, considered the available options, developed a new plan that minimized those risks and maximized efficiency.
And highlighting the challenges you faced, the solutions you came up with,
Yes.
what you learned from it.
And what you learned from it.
Okay.
It's all about showcasing your ability to adapt, to think critically, and to find solutions when things don't go according to plan.
Right. Because things never go according to plan.
They rarely do.
But that's a really good one to be prepared for.
Yeah.
Welcome back to our deep dive into forestry equipment operator interview prep.
We've covered a lot of ground
From understanding the role and the industry.
to tackling those tricky interview questions.
Exactly. But before we wrap things up,
Okay.
I want to touch on one more thing that's incredibly valuable.
Right.
RoleCatcher's AI.
Yes.
We've mentioned it throughout our discussion,
We have.
but I think it's worth emphasizing how this tool can give you an edge in your interview prep.
Absolutely. It's like having a personal interview coach in your pocket, providing tailored guidance and feedback every step of the way.
So how exactly can RoleCatcher's AI help you prepare for that interview?
Well, first and foremost, it can analyze the specific job description you're applying for, identifying the keywords and skills that are most important to the employer.
So you can make sure you're hitting all the right points in your answers and speaking the employer's language.
Precisely. It's not about giving generic one-size-fits-all responses.
Right.
It's about tailoring your answers to the specific requirements of the job.
And RoleCatcher helps you do that.
It does.
That's amazing. It takes the guesswork out of it,
It does.
but it doesn't stop there, does it?
Not at all. RoleCatcher's AI can also provide feedback on your practice responses,
Okay.
helping you refine your delivery and ensure you're coming across as confident, professional, and engaging.
So it's like having a personal editor for your interview answers.
Exactly. It analyzes your tone of voice, your pacing, and even your body language if you choose to use that video practice feature.
Wow, that is really cool.
Yeah.
So you're not just walking into that interview blind.
Nope.
You're going in prepared, confident, and ready to make a good impression.
Exactly. And remember, preparation is key. The more you practice and refine your answers, the more comfortable and confident you'll feel on interview day.
Absolute confidence is everything in an interview.
It is.
But here's a final thought for you to ponder as you continue your interview preparation.
Okay.
We've talked about the technical skills, the safety protocols, the environmental regulations.
Yes.
But beyond all of that, what personal qualities do you think would make someone a truly exceptional forestry equipment operator?
That's a great question.
What do you think?
It really gets at the heart of what it takes to excel in this field.
Exactly. Is it a strong work ethic, a passion for the outdoors, a meticulous attention to detail?
Or maybe it's the ability to stay calm under pressure, to solve problems creatively, to be a reliable and supportive team member, and to communicate effectively in challenging environments.
Yeah, those are all fantastic qualities.
They are.
So here's the challenge for you. How can you showcase those qualities in your interview? How can you let your personality shine through while also demonstrating your competence and professionalism?
That's something for you to think about.
Remember, you're not just trying to get a job.
Right.
You're trying to find the right fit.
You are.
And by preparing thoroughly, reflecting on your strengths, and letting your passion for this field shine through, you'll be well on your way to landing that dream job as a forestry equipment operator.
Best of luck. You've got this.